I gotta say, this movie was really good. So much that you can say all the cast and crew made a lot of the right moves. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about a film from a little earlier this year, No Sudden Move. Before we begin, let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this movie were, if you already saw it, or if you were planning on seeing it, and make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you like these reviews, as it helps me out immensely by getting my channel out there. And if you're new here, I hope you consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases, older films, hidden gems, and so much more on a near daily basis. But let's jump right into it, and let's talk about No Sudden Move. This focuses on a group of criminals who are brought together under mysterious circumstances and have to work together to uncover what's really going on when their simple job goes completely sideways. This is written by Ed Solomon, who co-wrote all the Bill and Ted movies. It's directed by Steven Soderbergh, and it premiered on HBO Max last month. Now, Soderbergh's films are usually one extreme or the other in terms of style. They're either very accessible, exciting mainstream films like Ocean's 11 or Out of Sight, or they're very inaccessible and experimental in nature like The Girlfriend Experience or Bubble, and anything that falls under that latter category slips almost completely under the radar. And with his latest film, we have something that stylistically falls under the former description, but seems to have slipped almost totally off the radar in the vein of the latter. More than likely due to its HBO Max only release and its quiet marketing campaign. Which is a shame, because here, Soderbergh gives easily my favorite effort of his since 2013's Side Effects. While this might look like something in the vein of his experimental films, with a grainy feel that made it look like it was shot on film, and having a quieter aesthetic, this is actually very exciting, with a story that's pretty consistently engaging. The film's filled with an all-star cast, led by Don Cheadle and Benicio del Toro, and also contains the likes of David Harbour, John Hamm, Amy Seimetz, Noah Jupe, and among others, as a pleasant surprise, Brendan Fraser in a return to major film productions after having stepped away from the spotlight for over a decade. And most of this cast is put to great use. While there's a typical setup of Cheadle and del Toro, both of whom are strangers to one another, each looking for one last job so they can take off with their money and leave their former lives behind, that's only one small piece to this very complex puzzle. This is a much more intricate caper film that sees our two leads pit against the seedy criminal underworld in Detroit. There's a lot of name dropping and a lot of bouncing around from person to person and location to location. But despite its stretches of dialogue driven moments that sometimes just cover background, this is a mostly slick, fast-paced film filled with tons of intriguing characters who we find ourselves almost immediately invested in from the opening moments, where Brendan Fraser arranges meetings with both Cheadle and del Toro. Now, I'd say the first half hour to 45 minutes of this were borderline flawless, and possibly some of my favorite moments in a Soderbergh movie altogether. The first part of it is the heist itself, with our two leads babysitting a family, while a third associate, played by Kieran Culkin, accompanies their target, played by Harbour, to acquire this important document that they're after. Soderbergh keeps cutting back and forth between these two scenarios and builds up the tension so well, really bringing out all these characters' personalities fantastically, as we see that neither del Toro nor Cheadle are really these truly ruthless individuals, making for an interesting dynamic with Amy Seimetz as Harbour's wife, who they're looking after. And it works as it makes these both solid character-driven moments as well as event-driven moments. And while I don't think the rest of the film quite matches the heights of those first 45 minutes or so, it's still an incredibly well-made film, with a lot of gripping interactions among all these different crime figures our leads encounter. In addition to Fraser, the other two highlights for me include Ray Liotta and Bill Duke as the two dueling crime bosses whose names are constantly heard throughout the first portion of the film, before finally making appearances as things begin to unravel. Their roles aren't necessarily huge, but they are integral to the film's events, and they're fun to see whenever they do show up. And to be clear, that goes for the rest of the film's cast. Now, as for criticisms, going back to my note earlier about how the rest of the movie isn't as strong as the first act, I will add that there are some noteworthy pacing issues as the film goes on. A few of the more dialogue-driven moments maybe go on a tad longer than they should have, and there are attempts to say things pretty meaningful, especially in one sequence involving a surprising cameo, and while I do get the points certain characters make and appreciate what's being said, there are times it takes a little long to get to its point. And going hand in hand with that, this comes at the expense of a few other storylines fizzling out. There are a number of side characters who are a big part of the first act especially, that we will only sporadically see appear throughout the rest of the film. And when we circled back to them, it felt more like we were just checking in on them, rather than because there was a compelling continuation of their storyline. So there were times this felt a little aimless, but that's not the overall feel of this film. No Sudden Move is an engaging, well-crafted caper movie, and it's a shame it didn't get a lot more attention than it deserved. It's thrilling, well-acted, has a rich, layered storyline, and has great characters who we enjoy following. It's one of Steven Soderbergh's better recent efforts, and if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you check it out. No Sudden Move gets an 8 out of 10. So let me know, did you see No Sudden Move, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Was this one of your favorite heist movies? Was this one of your favorite Steven Soderbergh movies? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching everyone, and keep having fun with film.